Hey, I was thinking yesterday about how our thoughts work. Because if we can understand how thoughts work, we can change our thoughts, we can change how we feel, and we can change our life, how we are perceiving our life, and we can change the perception of life. And by that, also, life will change because we will see it differently. So, our thoughts are like this running process which is always working in the background, and when we shut them down, like for example when we are meditating, then we feel weird because we are not used to it. We are not used to be without thoughts. We are not used to live with the empty mind because our whole life we were in this process of running with those informations inside our mind. So let's talk about how our thoughts work. For example, I will be talking about what happens when we perceive something negative. For example, when a person come to us and say something mean to us, before we know, we will get a negative thought about that person, and that thought will be, oh, this person was so mean to us. And if at that moment we will not change anything about the perception of that moment, if we will not change anything, then this thought will start to creating more thoughts because our mind wants to create a story on which our body can react. So I want to say it again, our mind wants to create a story on which our body will react. So that means that the first thought, if it's positive or negative, will attract more thoughts, actually will create more thoughts, because our mind wants to make a story to that our body can relate to that story, to create feelings and emotions. So because we didn't change anything about that first negative thought, in the next few hours we will have a bunch of negative thoughts. Our mind will become full of negative thoughts just because that person, but not just because that person, but because we saw that person in that way. That person touches us on those negative emotions. So we started thinking negatively about that person, and let's say next day we wake up and the first thing we will be thinking about will be that person, those negative thoughts. So that person was so mean and I have a bad day now because of that person, and blah blah blah. And it got complicated then because we still didn't change anything. And law of attraction, if we are familiar with that, it works that way. Something attracts same thing in bigger way. So one thought will attract more the same thoughts. The more same thoughts will attract even more same thoughts. So that means that if we will still not change negative thoughts to positive thoughts, in the next day we will have a full head of negative thoughts. And the whole day will go like that, and maybe we will be distracted here and there, so we will not put so much focus or attention to those thoughts to be able to change them. And because we will not be setting so much attention to it, we will think that all those thoughts went away, I feel great now. But actually those thoughts were so strong that they created an emotion in our body. And what it means, it means that when our thoughts creates an emotion, the signal becomes so strong, and emotions are actually the biggest signals for attracting new things in life, or the biggest signals for creating new things in life. And when our thoughts creates an emotion, it's so important what kind of emotion it is. And because negative thoughts will create negative emotion, that means that this negative emotion will be stored in our body. Emotion means energy in motion, and if this negative emotion now, because negative, you know why is negative? Negative is because a person turn up negative thought, and one negative thought turn on more negative thoughts, and more negative thoughts awaken a negative feelings in our body, and negative feelings created negative emotions. And as we know by now, if you watched my previous videos, all those negative emotions are stored in the lower part of our body. And if the energy now got stuck in this lower part of our body, that means that this life force or life energy can't move through it in a way that it should move. So not enough energy can come to our brain, can circulate through our body, and that means stuck energy in our body, and it can lead to diseases and to depression as well, and sadness. And we will be thinking, oh, that person created this, but actually we created it because we didn't change anything about thinking. So it's important to know now how to change it, how we can change our thoughts before this emotion before this negative emotion happens. And we can change it the way to firstly, when we recognize a negative thought, we change it to positive one. And we can do it by that way. If the same scenario, a person came to us and say something mean to us, we can see what can we find positive on that person. Like, I don't know, for example, oh, this person looked so nice, so much courage in that person that she or he just came to us and say us honestly what she or he thinks about me. And that's positive because we can add this courage to our life, not to make something negative to others, but to be more honest to people. So when we will change this picture about how we are perceiving others, also our life, our body will change, because we will be starting feeling different feelings and having different emotions. And that's how this law of attraction works in our body, because I'm talking about law of attraction because we are more familiar with that word. I believe that it's more law of creation, because we are creating a vibration, is creating or attracting new vibration, and that's creating new things, new thoughts, new emotions, new feelings, and new physical things, or new reality. And that's kind of it. It's I hope it's understandable, and we will be talk about that also in the future, more about that, more precise, to be able to understand more how our thoughts work. So I'm sending you all blessings and love, and have a beautiful day. It's raining outside right now. I wanted to go film this video outside somewhere with the camera, but it started raining, and I actually love this moment because it feels so fresh. So yes, see you in the next video. Have a beautiful day.